Hey guys, Jason here with a word to the wise. Let me turn off my car here. I want to touch a little bit on this. You'll know them by their fruit. Now, this is just using past information, things I've touched on, spoken on in the past. I've made videos about this. A lot of videos. I've taken down about 400 videos. And still, I got not a strike, but I had a video removed, and it was showing the video I've made several times with articles from Harvard showing how they have programmable bacteria. So it's just using articles. I wasn't saying anything on top of it, I don't think. And then how they have these, they're called Dead Man and Kill Switch. So they can shut them down using, say, amino acids, vitamin C, however they want. They can program it supposedly into these things in a programmable way. Also talking about various other things that were very questionable in the season we've been going through for the last 2 or 3 years, say. So interesting. I feel that they're probably doing a good clean sweep of information on these platforms, so that way when things come back around, nobody can point back to that. My own opinion. We're seeing this morality thing coming, and I've spoken on this in the past, and I'm gonna kind of get a roundabout here, but I just want to start with an article. Excuse my trying to cover my place of business here, so don't have to deal. I wanted to show you guys a couple articles or a couple quotes and things that were spoken in an article from I believe it was in January of 21. Man, there's things on here I just have not even considered to speak about, just because it's just such a touchy thing. This is coming from Israel 365. This is January 14th, 2021. An article by David Sidman, Biblical News. This is called Biblical News. Top rabbis, semicolon. America is collapsing. Israel must step up as new world superpower. That means that one has to step away to let somebody else step up. Now, I have just a couple quotes here I just want to go over. Capitol Hill sang, and I quote, "The big crisis that is currently happening in America didn't start with the storming of Cap Hill." We'll kind of abbreviate that. It started with the Democratic Party's lack of confidence in Trump's presidency. We saw that through his entire presidency. They call that left-right narratives and all that. Expressed in fiery protests across the U.S. and his being labeled in every possible derogatory manner, end quote. And another quote from another section of this same article. This is not the first time a superpower has fell because of a crisis of values. And just kind of summarize that quote. Going to another quote in another section, talking about these superpowers in the past of days of old, Egypt and Rome, very biblical titles there. So on and on to the Ottoman Empire, the Russian Empire as of 30 years ago, moving through the quote, collapsed due to failures of values, as well as a decline in their great superpower as world leaders. So they failed. Here's some more that I just kind of screenshot. The values of justice were replaced with those of political correctness. We see that. Now this is from over 2 years ago. The family values have been replaced with those of hedonism. The birth rate that fell below the red line caused European leaders to open their floodgates to mass Muslim migration that would fill their void. And Europe started to totally lose its character. Now, just moving on to another section of the article. Now, this is Rabbi Eliyahu sees the development unfolding as an opportunity for Israel to step up and take America's place as the world's superpower. He supports his proposition by calling Israel a world leader in family values, saying, "We've been called upon to fill this vacuum." Now, to fill this vacuum, because if America has fallen, well, now there's this void to be filled, so it's already done. It sounds like there's no need to worry about this. It's America's fallen. There are problems inside the state of Israel as well, but unlike Europe, Israel leads the world in the stability of family values. Excuse me, I'm not trying to do hand signals or anything. The average amount of children per Israeli woman is double the average of the Western world. On and on and on. There's all these things, but we know in a lot of biblical understandings, there's 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and it's speaking about the Antichrist who will sit in the seat and demand to be worshipped. We'll say that in a kind of paraphrase here, but once the rebellion, or I think it's the rebellion has come to a full. So we see this Education Day Act that has been signed by all presidents basically up until this point. So I'll show you guys, here's a list of those values that the Education Day Act brings forth. Now, I've heard through other channels that these are just 7 simple sentence laws, but there are subsections that go much further, much greater into detail of each and every one of these. And I remember, and I'm not going to show it because it's such a big thing and it's trying to hone in on, but if you go and look up World War III by Albert Pike, it's a letter just talking about what must happen so that way they can bring the light of Lucifer forward in just his own writing. Not saying that some other people all support this. It's just interesting that if you look at World War I and II that he wrote, those things seem to have happened exactly as he wrote them. So in this time, it talks about how Christianity is a problem. We'll say that. Please go and find the article. It's very accessible, very easy to find, very to the point. It's probably the largest of the two. It's probably larger than the first 2 that he wrote, and it has more to the point of the finality of what they're shooting for. And if you go there, you'll find atheism is also labeled as kind of a future problem they want to get past. And so it's kind of getting rid of Christianity in his own sense of how to get past that and how to get past the idea of atheism. And that would be bringing in some sort of a belief system. And I know a lot of people right now talk about science is their gods. You know, if you don't believe in one thing, you believe in another. Yes, but I think that kind of shooting for Mars and inner world galaxies and NASA and all that stuff, it's just kind of like this wash, and it doesn't really have any real meaning, I think, in the end times. I think that there's more. If they do bring out some alien agenda, sure, it'll be very significant, but these 7 laws people have spoken on, and it has been brought out into the light, and it could also be just another big distraction, but I'll leave it at that. It could be any which way. We don't know until the time comes. We're kind of in the middle. I've kind of said this. We've seen the A, B's, and C's of this rollout. We're probably in the midst of it somewhere in the LMNOPs. But we're kind of waiting for the T to the Z area to really be like, wow, this is all happening. And I don't see how, this is just going to be one of those things that we see coming through the media that just gets washed out. There's a lot of people talking about how digital currency is already on the books as something to be rolled out this summer. And what a better time to do that when people are going to be not put out in the cold so much as if they did something like this in the winter. But it kind of eases people in. You want to take vacations. Well, guess what? Your money could be worth more. How they roll this out, again, remains to be seen. But take these laws, and the closest thing I could see was an interesting part in Acts 15. Not anything I could really find in the Ten Commandments so much. I know there's a lot of those Talmudic views that have a lot more interpretation of what they believe to be laws to be held. I'm not saying that. And I believe this is by James. So I'll just read this and I'll leave it at that. Wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them which from among the Gentiles are turned to God, but that we write unto them that we may abstain from pollution of idols, from fornication, and from things strangled, and from blood. For Moses of old time hath in every city them that preach him, being read in the synagogues every Sabbath day. So, with that, I just wonder if that would be something that could be said to those who say they are in Christ and wrongfully use his name. And if I said this morning, those who say of the vultures, speak of the vultures, where the body is, the vultures will come. But I'll leave it at that. I gotta go. Just a word to the wise. I'll be back. God bless, guys.